Hello, today is Thursday, March 20th, 2025. I'm Tony Mangino from TC2, and this is Staying Connected. On today's podcast, we're going to revisit one of our 2025 hot topic areas, Contact Center as a Service, or CCaaS. I'm joined today by LB3 partner Laura McDonald and TC2 director Julie Gardner to discuss what we're observing as our clients go to market for these services in 2025 with all the AI buzz. Laura and Julie, welcome. So, Julie, let's start with you. You spoke to us back several times in 2024 about CCaaS. What has changed in the market?
Thanks, Tony. Well, we continue to see AI deliver feature functionality and efficiencies in specific areas like call transcription and summarization, predictive capabilities, trending topic detection, sentiment analysis, natural language Q&A, agent assist, or next best action and automated scoring. These areas continue to provide some of the best use cases that can be tracked and measured against from an AI perspective.
So are you seeing clients more open to using AI, and what are the challenges when evaluating the various supplier offerings?
Well, our clients are asking how AI and automation can deliver efficiencies and improve both their CX and their EX. We're seeing a shift from the let's wait and see to a we need to get on board attitude. As AI offerings in the CCaaS space mature, the providers are finding ways to monetize their investments, and the different suppliers are going to monetize in different ways. Token consumption, per named user, per concurrent user, and per API call. It's critical that you understand how CCaaS offerings that leverage AI are priced, and that you have a total cost of ownership model that accounts for your particular demand and use cases. Because these pricing models are going to vary by supplier and it's a net new service for most of our clients, it's often difficult to estimate what the expected usage and cost will be.
That's interesting. Are you seeing any changes in the key players in this space?
Well, on the solution provider front, we continue to see Genesys, Five9, and NICE as the big three for enterprise users, but there are certainly others. It really comes down to your size, your geographic footprint, your use cases, and your integration requirements.
Great. Thanks, Julie. Laura, so from a contracting perspective, you got any tips for us?
Yes, Tony, thanks. As Julie points out, CCaaS solutions have a lot to offer, and we're seeing more clients migrating from the on-prem to the cloud solutions. And you have to think about it. Contract centers are often the primary customer interface, so enterprises really want to get this right and minimize any disruption. And the AI use cases, many of which Julie mentioned, are exciting both for improving the customer and agent experience, but also for the data and learning opportunities they present. But they're a little bit of an uncharted territory, so you really need to think about it as you do your contracts. From the contracting perspective, just a starting tip is I recommend that folks look at their contracts and potential contracts from 3 vantage points. First of all, what do you have now? When does it expire? And how long is it going to take you to migrate? You need to make sure that the existing contracts and licenses are aligned, or if not aligned, you know how that's going to impact your migration. The second vantage point is what do you need to do to have a good contract in place? Julie mentions, again, some of the key things, but you also need to think about what pain points are you trying to solve for and what features do you want to offer or have to offer? Is this decision being driven slowly by cost, or is it driven by efficiencies? And is it going to be internal facing or customer facing? Those are all things you need to think through as you get ready to draft your contract. And you need to make sure that your RFP and your contract include what you want. Finally, for future state, you need to make sure that as the technology and use cases continue to evolve, that you can take advantage of it. You know that migrating is a lot of time and a lot of work, so you want to build in a flexible contract that can adapt to the changing needs of your business and make sure you can optimize the cost.
So what about AI? Both you and Julie mentioned it. How do you contract for AI when there's so much that's unknown?
Well, I found that the magic 8-ball is not that helpful, but here's some tips that hopefully are. First, enterprises need to have a general AI policy, and that needs to include a governance model that addresses data protection, intellectual property, liability, regulation, ethics, enforcement. And that policy, which should be in place before you get started, must be reflected in both your discussions with your suppliers and in your contract. Then when you get to your contract, you need to address it, and you should understand at least the following. What data is going to be used and how sensitive is that information? Where is the data going to reside and how is it going to be collected? Will your data be fenced or will it be used for general purposes and training by the provider? This is going to be critical from an AI perspective. Do you need any consent? And if so, who is responsible for this consent? And by the way, you should always assume that you're ultimately responsible for that. And then you have to figure out how those are going to be obtained and preserved. Will you need the data? And is it subject to things like HIPAA or PCI or other protections? And of course, related to that, what are the applicable laws that are going to apply? Many states have privacy and other laws that apply or could apply. Pretty much right now, California and the EU seem to be the hotbeds for both legislation and litigation. So you need to think about where and who is accessing and providing the data. And you need to think about what happens as the laws change, and they will. What are your remedies? Termination? That's pretty tough, but it may be necessary. Indemnification? That's essential. And with AI, it's critical that you have your IT, your legal, your cybersecurity, the data privacy, all of those teams engaged and aligned before you ink the contract.
So, Julie, taking this a little different direction, what's changed the way in which clients go to market for these services?
Well, we always recommend issuing an RFP, but the RFP you used for your on-prem call center is not going to be fit for purpose for a CCaaS solution. Ultimately, your organization's needs around managed services, implementation, and integration will dictate the scope and the structure of your CCaaS RFP. But an RFP process will absolutely get you the best terms and conditions. Also, be sure to include the all-important in-depth solution demo in your sourcing process. And I don't mean 30 minutes with the vendor showing how things work, but a more in-depth solution demonstration that address your use cases and pain points.
And Tony, writing on that, I would say that timing is always a factor in deals, but is really a big factor in migrating from prem to cloud. So give yourself the runway to execute your preferred sourcing strategy and get your contract complete and your negotiations complete and to implement that new solution. So you have to start by knowing your expiration dates and how much time it's going to take and then work backwards. You need to make sure you have the runway to migrate based on your contract expirations and expectations.
A great point, Laura. Solution providers and the SIs will often try to take advantage of compressed timelines by introducing non-standard terms and conditions and running out the clock on you.
Great points today. Thank you, Laura and Julie. And if you'd like to talk to Laura, Julie, me, or any of our LB3 and TC2 colleagues about your CCaaS needs, please give us a call or send us an email. If you'd like more information, please visit us at our websites, and you can also stay up to date by subscribing to Staying Connected and by following us on LinkedIn.